Hi everyone, my name is Old Gamer Joe, co-founder of Media Moogle. Media Moogle is dedicated to bringing video games, game music, and indie games and developers the love and recognition that they deserve. Free yourself from the shackles of mainstream gaming coverage and check out some of our wonderful content at MediaMoogle.net. It's time to say goodbye to the echo chamber and join us on this wonderful campaign to give the voiceless ones in this industry a voice again. MediaMoogle.net for all of our content or YouTube.com/MediaMoogle to check out some of our great video coverage. Onward, our work has only just begun.
Salutations and welcome to the... Shut up, Dan. Salutations and welcome to the Manabar Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Rhodes, and today is...
Damn, we're running a podcast here.
January 15th, 2020, and this is episode 38. I'm joined here with Matt Samarco.
Hey.
Hi.
Andy, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Great.
And Dan Party.
Hey,
Your middle name starts with a J, right?
it does.
How has nobody called you DJ Party? That's like a perfect...
Oh my
stage
god.
name.
Why isn't that your nickname?
Yeah, why isn't that your nickname? That's his new nickname.
DJ Party in the house.
It makes too much sense.
When did this come to your...
I was thinking like 5 minutes ago,
Okay.
randomly.
Oh, that time when you thought you passed me or passed a guy that got pulled over and you thought it was me?
No, like literally 5 minutes ago in my
Oh,
bedroom.
like 5. Okay.
I think about you in bed. So here's the thing. I want to sit here and talk about pleasantries and ask how you guys are doing, but too much happened.
Yeah, 2020 started,
Yeah.
and everything started to happen.
Yeah, it's really thick.
As opposed to the last 7 weeks.
I do want to take some time to find out what you guys have been playing, though.
Yeah? Right now?
That was a cue. Yeah, might as well
okay.
start off
This
with
question came out of left field.
Sure, I'll talk.
that. You mean the same question I ask at
Yes,
the
I
beginning of
know.
every single podcast?
That was the sarcasm.
Well, I didn't know who
you
you were
don't do
pointing
it good
at.
either.
I didn't want to overshadow our friend DJ Party over there. So
In the house!
Yeah, so I was playing Lost Odyssey. I played very little of it before we started last week's podcast. I continued playing it for maybe like 5 or 6 more hours, and I fell off of it because I am bad at video games, and I'm starting to get frustrated about the whole situation.
Do you want me to take that part out of the podcast where you admitted to the world on this video game podcast that you're not good at video games?
So I looked up online, and I guess it is supposed to be a specifically hard RPG, especially the beginning, like the first 3 bosses. I kind of struggled with all of them, but I got through them. And then I got to a part where you had to fight. It wasn't a boss, but it was like a scripted fight where there was like 5 tougher than normal enemies, and I died, which was fine. Then I said, you know what? I'm gonna level up. I'm gonna get a super high level, and I'm gonna kill these guys. And then I went to go train in the like nearby forest area that they have for you to do such things as train, and I still got killed there a bunch of times. So now I'm at the point where I'm not even good enough to level up.
Can you backtrack to a previous area to level up?
I guess I probably
That
could.
happens in every RPG.
Yeah, I guess I should probably do that, but it seems like that would take like a long time.
It's like...
And
it's
it was
like
very
if-
frustrating.
If you're one of those kids who, in the original Pokemon, just needed to have Charmander, but the first 2 gyms are horrible for Charmander, so you're stuck, like, trying your hardest to, like, level up this bitch-ass Butterfree in the Viridian Forest.
Yeah.
You just have to, like, level up this Caterpie from, like, level 3, and it takes forever, and you have to have a ton of potions on you, because you're just not at the level to be able to do anything at that area.
Yeah, maybe I'll give it another shot. Like it does kind of have like a deliberate strategy that they want you to use, which is kind of nice. Like so the second boss enemy I was trying to fight was like a big giant snake guy, and he was pretty difficult. He killed me a couple times, and I noticed he was like using lightning attacks on all my enemies. So you get like a ring that you can equip to one of your guys, and he like learns lightning, and then the other 2, the guys that are immortal can learn that from him. So once everyone learns this like anti-lightning skill, then you can't be like shocked or anything like that. So that helped out a lot on that fight. And I'm assuming it's like there was no real kind of trick to this fight that I got stuck at. I think I just need to get to like a higher level, but I don't know. I was just super frustrated that I kept dying. And the story itself, it's kind of strange because it does a lot of cool like world building about you'll do all these kind of like flashbacks to like a long time in history. So you're playing this guy that's immortal. So you'll go back and you'll go through like this quote unquote dream where it'll do like a 5 to 10 minute thing that you have to read, and it's basically like a story of this whole person's life that you knew from like the beginning when you went to the inn, and there was this little girl there talking, and she would always laugh and want you to tell her stories, and then like later on, like she would grow up and you would like see her again when she's like 80 years old, which is kind of just like interesting that they kind of made this huge background for like all these characters just to build up your kind of backstory. But the story itself, like the kind of bad guys and stuff, or maybe I'm just not far enough, hasn't been super interesting yet to kind of drag me into that, which is kind of a pain. But,
so the person's backstory is better than the actual narrative you're playing through?
Yeah, because I mean, so like I mentioned last week, you're an immortal and you like lost most of your memories, so you're kind of getting it back in dribs and drabs throughout the game, and like things are reminding you of things that happened before, and then you'll go through that, quote unquote dream sequence where you're basically just reading a bunch of pages of texts, which normally I would hate. Like I really hate to be kind of slowed down like that, but they're actually kind of like really in-depth, interesting stories that kind of add to it. So I didn't really mind it. So yeah, hopefully I can give it another shot. After I took a break from that, I started playing the Resident Evil HD Remake on PS4. I want to get through 1 and 2 again before Resident Evil 3 comes out, which shouldn't be a problem because it comes out April 3rd, have a few months. I'm really enjoying that. I'm playing through as Chris. I think I've always played through as Jill before, except, back in the 90s when I actually couldn't buy games every month, so I just played it like a million times with both characters. But it's definitely tough because the only real difference between Chris and Jill is with Chris you have only 6 inventory slots instead of 8. And you also have you have a lighter, and there's a couple of small differences. But yeah, that one specific difference makes it a lot harder. Like you have to backtrack and go back and get because there's certain areas where you need 4 keys to enter this door to unlock this thing. So there's a lot of okay, I can take 1 weapon, 1 healing item, and 3 keys, and then I need to leave something open for something I find. So it's a lot of going back to these areas, and you don't have enough bullets to kill all the enemies in between you in the item box. So it's just a lot of backtracking and trying to be deliberate where you're going. But I'm enjoying it. It's I've kind of had that same epiphany I had playing Resident Evil 2 Remake, where these games are bigger than I thought they were. When you go back and think about Resident Evil 1, you just think of the mansion. When you think of Resident Evil 2, you just think of the police station. But there's that's just where the game starts, and there's actually a bunch of places after there,
and you go
which
back,
kind of flesh it out.
If I remember, you go back there, but
yep, I'm actually just at the point where I'm going back because I got a key that was the helmet key, which was locking a bunch of the doors in the mansion. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that, and I think that's all I have for games I've been playing.
DJ?
Party in the house.
So, I actually hooked up my PlayStation VR to the other because where I was playing it wasn't working well with how much feet I needed. So I reassembled the room and then now it's actually a good spot for the VR. So I actually picked up Blood and Truth or Truth and Blood, whatever the hell it is. The VR the story
European
heist. The story is really corny, and I also can't take it seriously because usually when the guy's talking to me, you're at an interrogation table, and he keeps putting photos down, and I keep throwing it at him. And
yeah, it's funny. It flashes you back to you in this interrogation room, and there's little things that you can kind of throw around.
Yeah, and he's just this is serious, and I'm just no, it's not. And I'm throwing picking up the paper and throwing it and waving it in his face and But I was actually impressed at one point, your brother, you get in a car with your brother and he's smoking one of those vape things and he's here, try it. And he gives it to you. And of course, my first thought was throw it out of the car. And so I threw it out of the car and he goes, dude. And I was oh, that's neat. He actually, they probably expect you to throw everything out of the car. But I know when you played it, you mentioned it is kind of on rails.
Yeah, for the most
part. After I initially I was disappointed by that, but while playing it, it's kind of nice to not worry about movement and stuff because I feel VR games are kind of clunky when it comes to getting down in combat,
yeah, they
hide
still
behind
really
cover.
Figure out how to do that. There's a lot of games where you can warp 15 feet, or there's the ones that you can scroll, and I guess for a lot of people that gets them kind of a little motion sickness when it's just kind of moving forward like you would with a regular game.
Yeah,
but I never really had an issue with that.
Yeah, so no, I didn't either. But this kind of works pretty well, and especially when it's not like realistic at all. Like your guy's wearing like a t-shirt and jeans, and he can take like 50 rounds before he even goes down. But having that, like being able to just click there and then worry about like aiming and firing, is actually pretty cool. But
did you find the controls for shooting was a little bit like difficult? I felt like a lot of the times I couldn't like hit them no matter. I mean,
I'm having that.
I just admitted that I am bad at video games now. But.
No, but I get what you're saying. It's not like Doom. I always felt like I could hit anything, like no matter what the speed in that game. It was just nice and easy to aim. And I actually feel like aiming down the hit like at the hip is a lot easier to hit them than actually aim down the sights.
Are you using the Move controllers for this?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's another thing. I was using the Move controller. I don't know if you have those. Oh, you were?
Yeah, and okay. I did feel like when you die in Doom, you kind of feel like it's your fault. But in this game, I just got frustrated. Like I was pointing and shooting at him for 10 seconds.
It's off. Yeah, okay, you're not the only one. I was going to ask you that too. Even when I'm aiming down the sights and I see the reticle, it doesn't do it. But I also feel like some objects that you hide behind, they're like, your guy ducks down way too high to the point where you have to actually like raise your hand above your head to aim for some like barriers. But other than that, it felt really cool. Like if you were going into like a tight, like narrow like corridor, and I picked up like an Uzi, and for one hand you can just wave it around like with one hand. But if you want to like tighten up, you actually put the other controller like near your other hand, and you press like the button below, and in the game it like his hand like closes on the end, so it's basically a tighter grip.
So it seems like they kind of hit on certain mechanics, but a little loose on other ones.
Just it feels like it should have been just like aim from the hip. Like the aim down the sight thing is neat, but it takes like too much time. It's just quicker to like, not only that, it's like infinite ammo. I feel like too.
Yeah, it's hard to run out.
Yeah, so it's really hard to run out. So at that point, it's probably easier, quicker, and probably, more savvy to just aim at the hip and hit him. Because then you can be like, oh, I'm hitting him to the right, so I just gotta move a little to the left. Got him. So, and like I said, you can stand out in the open for a little bit. You're not gonna get killed as long as you have the let the time to heal thing kick in. But I played that for like an hour and a half. It's pretty addicting just to like keep going. Like whatever. Like the story is just generic. Like the acting is what kind of gets it by.
Yeah, it was nice. It had kind of like peaks and valleys where I was like, oh, this is a lot of fun, and then I was like, oh, this whole chapter is kind of boring.
Yeah,
I think it just kind of goes up and down like that.
Yeah, like I said, it's hard to pay attention when like they give you all these things like in front of you, like a can. I'm gonna throw the can. Like it's just, it's like you're just like so fascinated with the physics of like
Did you
being
get to
able
a point where you have to like climb things?
Yes, that was really intuitive.
Really, I was gonna say.
I thought that really felt like, so when you grab like the ladder, you actually have to pull down, and then it actually really kind of makes you feel like you're doing that. I thought that was pretty neat. The door handle thing was kind of irritating because like you kind of just pull the handle down and then the door kind of just does it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, no, I want to push the door. If you're going to give me this much, this many options, let me push the door open, or at least, throw it open so you can like fire. But
what was the name of the game again?
Blood and Truth.
Blood and Truth.
Blood and Truth.
So it seems like it's probably one of the better VR titles out there.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like the big VR game of last year.
Oh, really?
For PSVR.
They had like when the PlayStation VR first came out, they had one that was like London Heist, but it was only like an hour long. So it was kind of like really, it was just a short, but it showed the potential of like the VR. This was like a full-fledged like 6-hour campaign or something. And it's, it tries to be realistic, but, in a way it's kind of goofy.
Why do I feel like, and I have no factual basis for thinking this, I think for some reason I just had it in my head that a lot of the VR games were shorter.
That is Skyrim's like the only one that you can play for like
maybe
hours
Resident
upon hours.
Evil 7.
Yeah, the only ones that are long are the ones that like weren't necessarily
intended. Yeah, No Man's Sky
on VR.
Did they design that? Do you think they did this purposely so people weren't wearing the headsets for too long, or do you think that's just kind of how it ended up being?
I just think that their budget is tighter because
I think that's
5 million people bought it, so
people
you're only
put a ton of money into these like 25-hour campaigns for
even Batman, like the Batman game is only like an hour, and it's mostly like detective stuff. It's not even like
makes sense because you have a smaller market. Why overpay on a game? I mean, the ports are easy. I guess.
Well, yeah, and on top of that, it's like, hey, this game already sold well. Why not play it? Skyrim VR, Skyrim everything. So,
did you play any more Astrobots?
I did not yet, because I feel like I'm Would you stop shaking your head, Matt? I'm going to play it. It was fun as hell. So I definitely will play that. I have, like I said, I pull all my VR games and I put it on the table to basically yell at me to try them.
I was kind of disappointed in the 2019 year of PSVR. Like, there wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
Like, 2017 had Moss, Astrobot, Tetris came out in 2017, right? Yeah. There was a lot of, like, stellar, like, oh, this is a reason to buy a PSVR. But I feel like there really wasn't anything this last year that, I don't know if you bought anything that was good, but I kind of fell off of it, like, even though I really enjoy VR. I don't know.
I'm excited for Zone of the Enders. I guess you could play that in VR.
Yeah, the Second Runner.
So, yeah, I don't know. Is it called Second Runner? You would know better than I.
That
I
was the...
I bought it just
the kind of like remaster or remake of the Zone of the Enders 2 that was, for PS2 way back in the day, but it has VR.
Is it a first-person shooter or third? I feel like when I was looking at the back, I was like, oh, it's a third person. Like, it's kind of neat.
Yeah, I thought it was a third person it was definitely a third person for PS2. I don't know if it's still going to be third person if it's in VR. Maybe it goes to first person, but...
Okay. I haven't tried it yet.
One of those things
I was
where it's
excited
just a
about it.
toggle.
Yeah. It looked really fun. I know that that was like Konami at its best, along with like Metal Gear. That was like their big two. Because I just remember in Metal Gear Solid 2, I used to see the box that said ZOE, and I was like, what the hell does that stand for? And it was, Zone of the Enders.
Otherwise known as the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo.
Yes, exactly.
Wasn't that the game everybody bought just to play that demo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which I'm surprised because they remade the second one. I don't think they ever released the first one again for PlayStation 4.
They did an HD edition for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. I remember buying it because it was like one of those like big book sleeve. It came with an art book and everything, and the only reason I bought it was like one of the last ones, and it was like $10-15. So I was like, oh, why not?
I feel like there's a couple scenarios on why there haven't been a lot of VR games coming out, though. One of which could have been, if I kind of equate this to what happened with the Nintendo Switch. I mentioned last time the person who created Pokemon didn't hop on board with the Switch until after it had already released. So there might have been a lot of developers like that who they didn't hop on until after it was already out and it was kind of selling well, and then they started making some VR games and those ones released, and it kind of came in waves. Where the people now might already be getting the PS5 VR dev kits, they might be working on games for that instead.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping Sony was, talking to the development team of Astrobot, right after the game came out. Okay, now you're going to be working on the first big VR game for PlayStation 5, and I could definitely see that happening.
They're on top of their
assuming they would be making a sequel to that game. So that's just my wishful thinking.
I mean, you can tell that Blood and Truth got some extra care compared to other first-person shooters.
A full big game. It's just wasn't, I don't think, as good as the best games that came out the year before.
Yeah, no. It's just good to use the motion controllers and feel like you're actually running around. Because I heard this Firewall Zero. It's like a military shooter, but it looks Zero Hour. Sorry, and it just looks so bland and boring. And
yeah, I haven't played that. That's one I've heard kind of good things about it, but every time I look, you have to. The kind of suggestion is you kind of have to buy that big aim controller.
Yeah.
Which is so the whole game costs $80 or whatever, because you got to buy this big clunky aim controller, and then you got to buy the game itself, and that's on top of I already have these two PS Move controllers, and I can't use those, which is kind of a bummer. So.
Oh, you can't use them?
I don't think you can.
Oh, I thought that's what snaps into the gun.
No, it's its own.
It's its own thing.
It's its own gun. It's its own controller. That's why it's so expensive. It's not just plastic. It's a full gun with where it can read where it is and all that stuff. All that fun jazz.
I remember walking into GameStop. They had a ton of them, and they were $10, and I was like, I'll never play it.
I keep waiting for it to be on sale, but everywhere it's still $70.
Yeah, it's still wicked expensive. I mean, well, this was when it first came out, and it kind of plummeted. It didn't work. They were trying to get rid of them. GameStop was doing a bunch of pre-owned ones, and then nobody. It was like the damn guitars from Guitar Hero when GameStop took those in for a little while, and then it was quickly just failed.
Now
They're
people
nope.
play decent. People pay decent bucks for those guitars now too.
I know. I should get rid of mine. So with the VR, I tried that, and then I've still been hopping between Star Wars Fallen Order, as well as Slay the Spire. What else? What else? I think those are the big. I mean, we're still playing Call of Duty, Andy and I.
Less.
A little bit less, but I'm still enjoying
Last
the
couple nights I was in the mood.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Him. I'm like, I just need a kill.
You did well, except that last game. But other than that, you did well.
I'll take
You did
one
really
bad
well.
game out of like 6.
Yeah, no, you did really well. So yeah, that was it. But no, I'm excited now that I have the space to try like No Man's Sky. I think that'll be fun in first person. Of course, I feel like that game might actually make me sick. Yeah, they added the whole like VR mode to it. And then there's another like Horizon. There's like almost like a sort of horror game for the VR. It was one of the first ones that came with that gun.
Wait, that's based on the game Horizon Zero Dawn?
No, it's I'm using the wrong like word, but it was like a PlayStation VR game that actually came with the gun. And you play like a
Link's crossbow training.
Is it Farpoint?
Yes, that's it. I'm sorry. I don't know why Farpoint, Horizon.
Because that's stupid.
They all kind of sound similar.
Yeah, so that's a game that I heard. That was another one that was actually like 6 hours.
Everything you just said sounded like a Tom Clancy book to me. Farpoint, Horizon, Tom Clancy.
Yeah, pretty much. So that one was kind of what Andy was saying, that they built that one like from the ground up. Like they were funded like, hey, you guys are going to be, showing off the potential of this. So try and do something really pretty good. And I got like decent reviews, but
was it specifically made for PSVR?
Yes.
Okay.
So this one was fully meant for PlayStation VR, but I think, like Matt said, I think it does require the gun thing. It's
Which are you? Yeah, I'm looking at now. Just the gun has cost $80. So it's like they're not. It's one of those things. Like I had the same problem with DDR pads, where like I was really into DDR when it was cool, and then it became not cool, and the pads became like $1 million because no one they stopped making them, like the good ones to put on the floor.
Yeah, they were really popular in like the PS2 era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now these, it looks. I doubt they're even making these anymore. These are all like the last.
You could buy it at GameStop for $44.
Really? That's not bad.
The gun or the DDR pad?
That's used.
The gun.
That's used if they have it in stock.
Well, yeah, it says put to cart.
$2 cost to make.
Yeah, that's the best I've seen of it. But
so,
it's just a piece of plastic.
Well, like he said, it actually. Yeah, you're right. It does. I'm so used to the other one, the PlayStation.
Just reminds me of the Wii U peripherals.
Yeah. The PlayStation Move one, they had the gun, and it was...
It's just a little bit of a pain, because like you already got to buy the headset. I already bought 2 aim controllers. It's like, why do they not just have the aim controllers be compatible with this game?
Yeah, you already said, let's use the other ones. Why can't you just do that? But
so I hope they sort that out with the PS5 and just have like, this is the one thing or 2 thing you need to buy.
Yep. So, but yeah, I'm excited to try those. Skyrim was pretty crazy, like when I hated the controls, like with the Move controller. That just felt really. I'm not gonna like. I understand like Doom where they're really narrow corridors, but when you're in an open world and you're just like, I gotta like click, just to segment like across the friggin' map. I'm not gonna do that.
Is there any?
I turned that off.
So I know. Oh, you turned it off. So could you use a regular controller for Skyrim VR if you wanted to?
Yeah, and you basically aim with just your head.
Because I know Astrobot uses just the regular stock PS4 controller.
Yeah, but you can also, because I was using the Move controllers, but you can turn off that jump thing where it's just when you press the button it'll move forward.
Yeah, it moves like
which for some reason
feet.
isn't like I said earlier, it's not the default for a lot of games because for some reason it makes a lot of people a little bit queasy. But I've never had an issue with it, and it makes a lot more sense than like just jumping 15 feet.
Have some saltines ready, soak up all that stomach acid.
Every now and then I get like a little like I need a minute.
Anything else you've been playing, Dano?
No, I think that's it for now. Yeah, that's it. That's it for now.
Guys, ready for this? It's the longest part. Andy's games. It's not true. It's always.
What have you been playing?
No.
You already can't.
Wait a minute.
Duty,
so I know. I'm going to talk about that, Dan. I actually tried Slay the Spire, and I liked it. It was pretty fun. I liked the deck. It didn't take me long to get the hang of it to where I knew what I need to do and what cards. Just I'm not sure if it's something I would buy just because it seems a little disheartening having to restart all the time. It's like, almost like I know you unlock cards and you can unlock, can get them back if you unlock them, but it's almost like you have to get kind of lucky in a playthrough not to.
Oh, I did. I beat the
third one.
And then you
it's a little disheartening that it kind of takes that bit of luck factor to finally do that. Like there was a couple cards I found that I really liked, and it's like happenstance that I ended up losing because I had like 5 cleaves and they were great because cleave would do damage to all of the opponents at once, and it was great. It was my favorite card. I had like 3 or 4 of them. It was amazing, and it's just I don't know. It was fun though. Like I love deck building games. I love things like that. The game was very enjoyable. I didn't have any issues with it. It's just not something I could see myself spending a large amount of time on. It seems like more of a travel game to me.
Yeah, I've just been addicted to it.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I don't want to buy it. I don't want to get addicted to a little card building game right now when I have like so many other things to play. Honest to God, that's it for me. This past week I've been so busy. Dan and I and some friends went to New Hampshire over the weekend. So I didn't really have. I was really just playing Slay the Spire over the weekend because of that. And between that and still plugging away, doing the podcast producing behind the scenes, so it hasn't left me as much time for video games. Luckily, we have a long weekend coming up, or at least I do. I know Matt doesn't. Dan, you do.
I'll be in Mexico.
Oh, okay. I have a nice long weekend coming up where I'm not doing anything for a couple days.
That sounds nice.
Yep, it's gonna be pretty sweet. I'm really gonna try to plan it out. So I'm either going to play a ton of video games those 2 days, or I'm going to finish everything I need to do with the podcast so I can play video games for the coming months. And I'll have more time to play now because something got pushed back by a month. It's Final Fantasy VII.
Yep.
Final Fantasy VII got delayed until April 10th, which isn't...
I'm heartbroken.
Well, Matt's heartbroken for several reasons. It's not the biggest pushback, but it's just like one of a number
of
Square
Enix. It's a weirdly small pushback.
Yeah, but also there was the Crystal Chronicles thing that happened about a month ago, and then also the Marvel's Avengers game got pushed back. So I'm wondering if there's just like a lot of things going on at Square Enix right now where they have to like shuffle around so many people. Like the thing we got for FF7 was, we want to make sure the game's as good as it can be, and I'm fine with them telling me it's being pushed back 6 months if it means I'm getting a better product. I want the game to be as good.
You take that back.
Well, listen, I'm not the one who decided to take out vacation time around the release of the game.
I waited so long.
Yeah.
They're going to push this back.
Matt,
you know what? It's only 2 months away.
You don't deserve to say that.
It's just a lot of questions. Like, it's like 2 months away. How much can they change in 5 weeks of
just polishing?
Polish, yeah.
Yeah, Matt, seems like you don't deserve to be angry.
Why not?
Because 1 year ago, you're like, it's never coming out. You had no faith. You had no faith in it.
I know, and it's still not coming out.
Yeah.
It got postponed again.
It's karma. It's karma. You had no faith.
No, it's literally
ye of little faith. But yeah, it does suck. It sucks because I did want to play it, and I was looking forward to March playing it because April had Cyberpunk, and my plan was, not that I'm, known for beating games very quickly, but my plan was to beat it and be done with it before Cyberpunk came out because I didn't want those two overlapping, and now they're 100% going to be overlapping.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, this time period was already pretty intense, but they just kind of made it, like, they squished it even closer to the point where we're getting on April 3rd, we're getting Resident Evil 3 Remake. April 10th, we're getting Final Fantasy X Remake. And then April 16th, we're getting...
So 3 weeks.
16th or 17th, we're getting Cyberpunk. So we literally get within 14 days of each other the 3 games I'm most looking forward to this year. The 3 games that are...
It's a good problem to have.
I guess there are worse problems to have, but all of those games are going to require a lot of time. Two of them are huge RPGs. One of them is an open world RPG.
Cyberpunk and Final Fantasy VII are going to be very long.
Yeah,
Resident Evil 3 not as much.
3 is probably like 10 hours, but if you want to get a lot of the trophies, and
that's one of those
hours.
games that are really fun to play a second and third time because you unlock like a rocket launcher and like a Gatling gun in that game, or at least in the PS version. And then in addition to that, it comes with that resistance. So
that's true.
Who knows if that's going to be good? But that's going to be something you're going to want to go back to, but not if the next week, 7 days later, Final Fantasy VII comes out.
If all 3 of these games are coming out so close to each other, and I'm not even going to be picking up Resident Evil 3 day one, but considering that that's a remake, is that maybe the one that's going to fall to the wayside? Or are you going to try to like move in between all of these games at once? I know Dan's very excited for Resident Evil 3, much more than the other 2, maybe.
Sort of.
On the fence.
I think Final Fantasy VII, like, would beat it out just because the sheer magic of it, and like I enjoyed it as a PlayStation 1. I don't like turn-based games typically, but this game did something right on a turn-based style that, like, in the world building and the material was just really interesting. That if I like the combat from 15, I'm going to be able to play it that way if I want to. So all I'm just worried about with that, I think the one thing about Final Fantasy VII is just the fear of, like, am I really going to be able to do much? Like, is really a lot going to happen, in this first...
So I'm very optimistic about what's going to happen in this first game, considering they've said it's, like, basically a full-fledged game on its own.
Well, see, I'm also thinking, like, I kept pushing it because I was going to go back and try it, but I was like, you know what? It's coming out now, which is great. And kind of like Resident Evil 3, I was thinking about, like, maybe I should play that. Now it's announced, so it's like, I gotta wait.
Are either of you going to try to play the original version of PS3? You're not even going to buy Resident Evil 3. Dan, are you going to play through the first Resident Evil 3 on PlayStation before? Or
no, I don't like it. I forget most of the story, so...
Yeah, so do I.
Although it's supposed to be different. They keep touting that they're going to really, like, change this one up, which... I mean, I guess certain people are getting pissed off, but I'm like, as long as it has the general... I mean, all I remember is a friggin' clock tower, Brad Vickers getting it in the face, and then he was like the guy that, like...
Resident Evil 3 is the one that I didn't play, so I have no idea who any of these people are.
It was very... Like, this one was like, all right, we hear that people are pissed off that you don't get any ammo in this game, so here you go. Here's a gun with 100% ammo, and it was just, like, based on percentage rather than actual bullets. It was like the assault rifle. So,
although something that is good in all of this, even though, Final Fantasy VII is getting pushed back, is that gives me plenty of time to play Animal Crossing, which comes out March 20th.
Yeah. Well, it comes out March 20th?
Yeah.
That's not even plenty of time. That's like
but that's not a game. That's not a game you have to rush to beat. That game has a real time anyway, so it's like
something... But it's a game that you kind of want to keep playing, right? Week after week.
Yeah, but it's like a in-bed game. But at least, like, I can enjoy it without worrying, like, oh my god, I could be playing Final Fantasy VII right now. Now I can just kind of enjoy it for what it is without worrying about what else I'm not playing,
Yeah, I also wonder if there's any sort of danger of any of these games eating into the other... Because we're all in kind of the fortunate position where I think even if you're not going to get it, you could technically afford to buy all three of them if you wanted to. I know I'm getting all of them. Dan's going to get all of them. Like, there's a lot of people that kind of just, either because video gaming isn't their number one hobby like it is for us, or maybe they just don't have the money. They can't choose all three of these, so they have to choose one, especially because they're all coming out, like, so especially if you're like a 16-year-old kid and you're 15, you're trying to convince your parents, like,
you just had Christmas.
You can't convince them like we used to do. Like, you won't be able to convince them to get 3 games like within 2 weeks of each other.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Of, like,
bit of mow the lawn every day or shovel snow.
It's a little different than when we were kids, because when we were kids, you couldn't pre-order games like that. So I don't know how much things have changed.
I remember pre-ordering a lot of games when I was a kid.
You could pre-order games in, like, the 90s?
Halo 2 was when I really learned about because I remember Halo 1 came out and it was really hard to get. And then Halo 2 was the big one. I remember going to Toys R Us and picking it up.
Halo 1, I don't think they were expecting to be.
I remember pre-ordering, like, the Tomb Raider sequels, like Tomb Raider 2 and 3 for original PlayStation when they were coming out.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Because, nowadays with especially with AAA titles, there's never really a short supply, is there?
Oh, yeah, only the big ones, like Plague Tale Innocence. Like, if you were to pre-order that, there would probably be 1 or 2 shipped to a store.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, those are the type of games. I mean, look at the Godzilla game for PlayStation 4, because it was so... It's like worth $116 used on.
That did really poorly.
It did poorly,
right?
But it's one of those games that it's so niche that only a few people wanted it.
Yeah.
So I remember, like, Deadly Premonition came out with, like, the PlayStation, like, director's cut version. I was the only one that pre-ordered it, and I think they sent like 2 to the entire store, and that's because I pre-ordered it. So you can imagine, like, a Target or something is going to get like maybe 3, 2, whereas like Call of Duty, they're just going to be like, all right, just rolling stock, just print them, like, here you go.
Someone hotcakes.
But yeah, so any of those unique, that's why Limited Run Game, they're a company that does like the physical release, but they do it for like smaller niche titles. Streets of Rage 4, they just announced is going to have a physical release, but The only thing with limited run games is that they sell out so quick, and then the people that buy them do the same thing that they do with the SNES Classic and stuff. They just hike up the price. So that was one of the reasons I got that PC, because a lot of the games that people like hike up from limited run games are like $1 on Steam. So it's like, why not just play it on Steam?
So I know, Dan, I already asked this question to you, but you're kind of the person where if you got multiple games at once, you would usually cycle through them.
Yeah, it depends. Like I said,
regularly, depending on your mood.
I think that's why with Astrobot I kind of fell off that a little bit, because I felt like Fallen Order was kind of doing that for me. Yeah. It was the platformer, and
no. Matt is not like that though. Matt gets shit done immediately. So which one of these are you going to be playing?
Does he though? Because I recall the past.
If they're too hard and I get frustrated and I get mad, then I stop.
Or if it's a bad
blame
game.
It on the game. But yeah, I will get Resident Evil 3 on the 3rd, and my goal will be to beat it that weekend.
Which I'm sure you can easily.
Which I can do. My only kind of like, the only complaint I have is I was kind of hoping to kind of delve into that multiplayer, especially if it has like RPG mechanics where you're leveling up or like getting additional stuff as you play longer. Like I kind of enjoy that kind of, fill the bar, get new stuff game loop that a lot of games do. So if that is the case, then I probably won't be able to do as much of that as I want, because I'm assuming I'll at least beat the game once. I might not be able to unlock like all the stuff I would want to, because like when Resident Evil 2 came out, I beat it like 3 or 4 times.
How long did it take to do that though?
It only took.
First one was probably 12 hours.
The first one was like 12,
then
15
once
hours.
you know where everything...
Then it was like 8 hours, yeah.
Then like 6. After you could skip all the...
It was still a decent chunk of time, especially if you're considering like 7 days, including like those are work days, so I really only have one weekend to get like a good chunk of time in there.
I believe in you, Matt. I think you can do it.
I think I can beat it.
He'll destroy it.
I'm just kind of bummed that I won't be able to kind of really delve deep into it now, because Final Fantasy VII is definitely going to take priority once that comes out.
Final Fantasy VII is April 10th, and without looking it up, is Cyberpunk the 24th of April?
No,
16th.
17th, yeah.
I was really confident about the 24th.
It's literally 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, it's the 3rd, the 10th, and the 17th. 3 Fridays in a row.
So my plan is...
a 2-week period.
Between now and April 10th, I'm going to be playing as many of the backlog as I have, and then Animal Crossing is going to come out, but Animal Crossing is just going to be like, hey, I'm on my way to bed, I'm going to play for a half an hour. Final Fantasy VII is going to come out, and I am basically shackling myself to that game. I will not put the Cyberpunk disc into my PlayStation until Final Fantasy VII is done.
Are you going to take any time off from work?
I do not have any time to take off from work.
Oh, bummer.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
What do you mean what happened?
I feel like you had so much vacation time.
No. I took a staycation around New York Comic Con, I think, or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Then I had Florida trip for Thanksgiving and a day here and there.
Well, mine's about to be gone.
I need to take 2 off for PAX, too.
Yeah, I just assumed your vacation would reset at the beginning of the year, though.
No, although I am going to start getting more vacation time. I'm going to start getting 12 hours a month instead of 8 come February, so that'll be nice.
You know what game I think might be negatively affected by all these is Doom Eternal, which comes out March 20th, the same day as Animal Crossing, but that has like kind of the same customer base as a Resident Evil or like a Cyberpunk would, I think, more so than Animal Crossing. So, like I loved Doom, and I think I'm going to get Doom Eternal, but like of those 4 games, Doom Eternal would definitely be the one where I'm like, all right, I gotta put one aside for later. I'll just ignore that one for now.
I feel like
when's Doom coming out? Sorry?
March 20th.
Yeah.
Same day as Animal Crossing.
I know. I still haven't played the first one.
Well, the good thing about yours is like you can get Resident Evil 2 when Resident Evil 3 comes out, and then once you play that and you've kind of
well, that's actually
finally
one of the few games Matt still owns, so I'm just going to borrow it from him.
Yeah, so, I'm just saying you'll be able to play that, on the cheap, and then, what's the other one? Doom is
crazy.
Is dirt cheap, too, so...
Also something Matt still owns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so look at that. And then later, when you get into the other ones, they'll be cheaper, so...
Yeah, so hopefully Doom Eternal will be on sale. I'll just probably buy it like 6 months after it comes out or something.
No, I'll just buy it day one because it's the only game that Bethesda hasn't fucked up recently.
That's so many games to buy in 1 month period, though.
I know. I'll sell some
Does
stuff.
Bethesda have on the slate? Do they have anything coming out aside from that?
I mean, maybe E3 though.
Fallout 76 updates, I'm assuming. Has that game gotten any better? We heard any good news about Fallout 76?
Worse. Just keeps getting
I
worse.
just hit
Really?
worse.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, they started charging for that like monthly pass for garbage, and
Maybe we should have made them the honorary dumpster fire.
They were up there.
2019.
It was
They
that,
were. I
that
know.
Blizzard and Anthem, but Anthem.
I think Anthem and Blizzard were like the top two, though. Fallout 76 was like, and Bethesda were like number 3 or 4 in the rankings. But that's unfortunate. I was, even though I don't even own it, I was, hoping that they would get better over time. Still no offline mode.
I don't want an MMORPG for Fallout. If you want to stick with, do an Elder Scrolls Online or whatever, but don't focus on that. That's what I don't like about the MMOs. They take way too much constant updating, whereas like another game can be like, it didn't do well. Let's skip it and go to the next thing.
So a lot more to get to. So
There's a lot of news.
Yeah. Is there anything else
Only
you
just
guys
began.
wanted to say about the delays before we moved on?
I'm upset and annoyed and excited.
Let's just hope that they make it good. They
That's all I
focus
hope.
on it and do it right.
So last Wednesday, we talked about a Pokemon Direct that we had not yet seen. Dan was seemingly convinced that there was going to be some sort of massive surprise that was not Pokemon related.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
Nope, that didn't happen.
Nope.
There
the
was
whole
some-
thing was a disappointment, except the Ranger.
Oh, the
thing.
mystery dungeon?
Yeah, because I don't really like the combat of the new one, so this one kind of changes up a little bit.
Yeah, they're the 2006 DS game Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. They're like remastering for
So wait,
the Switch.
you don't like the combat of the new Pokemon game? Like the one that just came out?
Yeah, like I'm
Like
playing
all
it,
of
but
Didn't you already know that you didn't like that, though?
yeah, but I enjoyed the last one. Just something about how quick the game is in general. Like for
Because you didn't have to battle the Pokemon. You could just catch
yeah,
them
and I think
immediately.
that.
Oh, you mean the one where it had like the pogo?
I told you were going to run into that.
I know. Well, I got all happening. All right, happening.
The happening. Actually,
the
you know
happening
what?
happened.
He is the only one
yeah?
that was happening with Pokemon Sword and Shield, come to think of it. I was surprised. I thought you were going to get it
Yeah.
too, Matt.
Yeah. Well, now it ain't happening.
I get every
it
like
just-
third or fourth game I try to buy one, and then I get burned because it's the same game.
Well, that's
Well,
what
it-
happened with me with Sun and... not Sun and Moon. Was it Sun and Moon? Those the ones that just came out?
Yeah, and then
Before
Ultra
Let's
Sun.
Go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Ultra Sun, but
Those are the ones that kind of burned me. And Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu, I'd already played Red and Blue so many times that I'm like, ugh.
it's just the and then on top of that they kind of sort of brought back the random encounters thing, and I'm sorry, but that's just it's just a thing of the past. Like, it's irritating because if you get stuck in an area, like when Red and Blue first came out, if you got stuck in that fucking goddamn cave
Rock
where it's
tunnel
dark,
without
it's
flash.
so
I need
frustrating.
Flash.
Yeah, it's so like.
But it's just like, oh, I'm trying to get there. Oh my god! At least this one, like, if you don't dodge them, it's your fault. Like,
So I think
with
you
the-
needed to catch an Abra and teach it Flash, but in order to get Flash, I think you needed to trade a Mr. Mime. Maybe I'm making that part up.
Right, but either way, it was random encounter. So if you just wanted to get somewhere, like,
Yeah.
like Amy was playing it. I bought her a Switch Lite for her birthday, because I knew the other one's too bulky, so I got her a Switch Lite. And I was like, oh, here, try Pokemon
Switch was too bulky, huh? Because I thought the
for
control...
her. For her,
Oh.
she just
Because I always thought it was a little too small, like the Joy-Cons, or do you mean like the actual screen was too bulky? Like the actual...
no, just the whole unit for her. Like, if she wants to put it in her purse and stuff, like when we're going to Mexico like on this weekend, I think it's perfect and actually feels really good. Like, if you're focused just on like playing in mobile mode, it is fantastic. Like, it feels better than the other Switch. It's just that the smaller screen, and the fact that you can't dock it, which I think is still really stupid.
Oh yeah, the Pokemon... sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, the Direct. So yeah, the Pokemon Direct had a few announcements. The most surprising of which was I think I misspelled this. Crown Tundra? Was that what it is? Expansion pack. It's an expansion pack.
Yeah, it's a expansion pack.
$30 expansion
Season pass,
pack.
2 different expansions.
With new regions and new Pokemon / just Pokemon from previous games. And
yeah, it sounds pretty cool. It seems like they're adding a lot to it.
surprised
Nice.
me, but at the same time, I don't know. I was going back and forth on this because I know a big to-do was, all these Pokemon were not in the new one. But I was thinking back to other Pokemon games and, like, yeah, there were other Pokemon games where you had, like, the ability to trade in all of the old Pokemon, but not all of them were like readily available in the game. Like I don't think that's like a huge deal that all of them weren't available in the game, but I do think it's weird that they're I don't know. The whole thing's a little odd that you're paying. The new regions and things are like kind of cool, but like the fact that it's like, oh, you can only have these Pokemon if you get the expansion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For some reason, I don't have a problem with it. I feel like if this was a game I was really into, if it was, way back in the day with Red and Blue, I would have loved an expansion pack for, $15 or whatever even on the Game Boy, just to play like a whole different area with new Pokemons, new challenges, and things like that. So I feel like those people that like min-max this game and try to get all their, IVs up to the highest level are going to love more stuff to do.
I was talking more about Pokemon from previous generations only being available. Now, and I don't know if maybe
it's not all of them. It's just like another 100 or something.
And I couldn't tell
each
if
of them, I think.
This only makes them available to be caught, or even if you don't buy the DLC, are you allowed to trade them in if you want?
You are allowed to trade. They said this. They said you won't be able to catch them, but you'll be able to get them traded in.
Okay, well then that's what, I'm fine with that. But new regions is cool. You've never really seen this, especially so soon after it came out. I'm surprised. You seem like you.
How does Dan feel about this?
It's just more the same, and the Pokemon suck.
See, that's what I said when you bought Sword and Shield. I'm like. You complain about Pokemon.
Shut up.
You complain about Pokemon all the time.
I know.
I think it's
I will easily get my money back for it. Don't worry.
Are you selling it?
I probably will after Amy plays it.
Oh, okay.
So
I think it's just one of those things where like we've outgrown it. Like the people that love Pokemon just don't mind that it's very similar every time. So it's just like for them, it's just it's more Pokemon.
Wait. I gotta add something too. I finally saw the Shield Pokemon, like the full thing. You're right. It's stupid. It sucks. It's dumb. I looked at it and I laughed. I was like, wow.
His main is the shield.
Yeah. I was like, what? But the whole thing, the body looks all weird. And I'm like, oh, God, that's what I'm working towards? Like, I don't want this anymore. I don't want it. I was like, this is crap.
My issue with when I saw things about the Pokemon game, I have no problem with Pokemon being, turn-based or them kind of doing the same formula. My issue was, more or less like you have an opportunity to be on a main home console with the main generation game. You kind of wasted the opportunity by just kind of copying and pasting exactly what you did in other games and didn't really up-res the graphics at all. The turn-based does get boring, I'm not gonna lie, and that's probably why I can't pick up like the newer Pokemon games. I go back to the older ones more for, I feel like, nostalgia factor.
Yeah.
But the other thing that came out of it, aside from the remake of the DS game Mystery Dungeon, was they're finally releasing, and we talked about this a while ago, Pokemon Home. It's a cloud storage for Pokemon. I don't really understand it.
People are really into their Pokemon. They
just
want to carry with the same Pokemon with them for like 20 years.
Now,
from game to game.
With this, it seems like you're going to be able to trade the Pokemon more easier using the cloud storage, but I'm assuming it's a paid thing? Like you have to pay for it separately, or is it free?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. I did see a chart of like the usage of it, and it's like it seems very convoluted. You have to trade your Game Boy Pokemon to your Game Boy Advance Pokemon to your Game Boy DS version because it's
no. That's how things have always been though.
Yeah.
So here's the thing,
and then you can bring them into the box.
Like,
the box isn't compatible with some of the older games.
I was thinking about this actually last week about like what if I actually went back and kind of traded up all my Pokemon like I used to. So Game Boy, you could trade from the Game Boy to the Game Boy Color games very easily. It's just a straight shots, no issues there. Game Boy Color to Game Boy Advance, I think that's where things got a little weird, where you'd have to go to this, like, you could trade them in, but then you'd have to, like, re-catch them or something like that. It's, like, very odd. And then Game Boy Advance to DS was also a little weird, but the DS could house both Game Boy Advance and DS games, so that was an easy way to trade them up. I do not know how you go from DS to 3DS with the Pokemon. Maybe that's where the cloud storage thing comes in. But I know that it seemed like this could trade Pokemon between all of the Switch and 3DS games pretty easily. Like you could get the app on that, which is surprising to hear that the 3DS was even mentioned. Is Mystery Dungeon coming out for the Switch or the 3DS?
Switch.
Okay. So yeah, it was I was just surprised to hear that the 3DS was even involved at all. Oh, it's an annual fee of $5.
No thanks.
So I mean, that's one of those things where if I was ever like super into, but like I understand from like a Pokemon fan perspective, like yeah, absolutely, you'd want that because if I was still really into like trying to trade up my like team that I worked on for so long, I would totally just like maybe buy it once or buy just a month or something like that and get all of them in and then nix it,
I
get
don't know,
out.
but then, so say a new game comes out, what are you going to do? You're going to have these like level 100 guys that you either can't use because your badge level is too low, they limit you that way, or like you just stomp through the game. It's like it seems like it's all just for competitive play.
I have a different mentality. I would do that after I beat the game, more for Pokedex completion mentality, less than actually trolling through the game. Because you can't use them until you have all the badges, and also like you said, you kind of like it's too easy.
Yeah, I mean, I'd prefer just to start over the game and not even deal with importing my own ones. Just try to get all the Pokemon that are in the game.
I think there's some games where they don't let you do that until later in the game anyways.
Yeah.
Like trading in from older versions. So
I would imagine.
But yeah, I can see the benefit to Pokemon. Like this, all of this stuff is for Pokemon fans.
Yeah, which none of us are really strong Pokemon fans. We all I feel like everyone at this table used to be a Pokemon fan, and
Dan didn't even really ever like the games, even the old ones.
No, I felt like it had so much potential, but they keep doing this stupid, boring turn-based combat that I would hope.
Are you talking about specifically the new one had so much potential, or Pokemon in general?
Just in general, like
Pokemon exploded. It was the biggest thing in the '90s. I think it met that potential that it had.
Yeah, but I just feel like that you need to change the formula a little bit. Like they've been so goddamn stubborn.
But it keeps selling.
I mean, yeah, the core audience is still skews pretty young. They're not really trying to get 30-something-year-old men to buy their game, even though we do.
Something about this generation, I don't understand how it became popular or kept like stuck around. One, Fortnite and Battle Royale.
What are you talking about with this generation?
Like that it wouldn't
generation
survive.
Of Pokemon? Or?
No. In this generation where people have like, there's so much like distraction and stuff. People have less attention spans, things like that. Where Battle Royale has become an explosive, multiplayer combat where I recall when I played Call of Duty and they had permanent death for the round, nobody would play it. Like, what was it? Control or not the, what was the game mode called?
I don't know. You're losing.
There was like domination or something.
We're talking about Pokemon?
No, hang on. I'm talking about.
I'm a little lost too.
I'm going to get back to Pokemon, but I'm talking about styles of games that I'm surprised still are around.
It's easy to
or
pick
got
up.
popular.
Pokemon's
Fortnite,
easy to pick up.
See, I just feel like it doesn't for younger kids. I mean, I can understand like us, the nostalgia factor for it is an easy sell, but I feel like I'm just surprised that it's still for kids. I'm surprised they're not like, oh, this is boring. You just select an option.
Well, see that. Well, I think therein lies the thing is that depends on the person. Like you've always thought they were boring. Like Matt and I didn't even think they were really boring until kind of recently. So I mean, for most kids, it's easy to pick up. You can make a character, catch Pokemon, have them as your buddy. Like that appeals to a lot of people.
Yeah, I think the combat is kind of secondary to like going and trying to collect all the Pokemon and doing the badges.
Yeah, so I'm just surprised that I understand. Yeah, it's easy to pick up, but I just figured like people, especially nowadays, they want immersion. They want to be able to do things. They don't like the wait time and. So I figured
maybe they don't when it comes to
I think it's
also sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
It appeals a lot to like women too, where it's like maybe it's more 50-50 than a game like Fortnite or something. So I think maybe girls aren't as into shooting games as much. So this is kind of it's more of a storyline.
So it hits bigger market.
I do. Yeah, now that you mention that, I do feel like Pokemon is a little more split down the.
Yeah, I know
it's
a
gotta
lot of
be.
guys and a lot of girls that like it as opposed to
just
for instance, I'm not certain about this, but I'm pretty sure Animal Crossing, I'm in the minority for I don't think most guys would go out and get Animal Crossing New Horizon, but I'm so excited for that.
In Japan, probably. But
so yeah, maybe the quick action isn't as important to some other people.
Got to top 10 best-selling Switch games really quickly, and I'm sure it's still climbing. I'm sure it's still going to climb after the DLC. Pokemon's a huge brand. It's a big thing to a lot of people. It's really easy for kids to pick up, so I'm not surprised. But unfortunately for someone like you who's looking for something new, until it stops selling well, they won't change anything about it. That's the thing. That's why we got 5 of those really crappy Transformers movies before we got Bumblebee. Because they waited until it wasn't making any money, or it was just breaking even.
This has been waiting for
it's still making the money.
Years.
I mean, I'm sure if I played Sun and Moon, I fell off of it after most of the time, but I still generally enjoyed it. Like I said, I've never had an issue with the combat. It's turn-based. I play
but there's turn-based, but then there's also like, at least make it immersive so that like while you're in combat and they're attacking, maybe you can press a button to dodge.
The problem is most people don't want that though. That's the problem. It's selling, Dan.
Yeah, but
3.93 million people disagree with you.
Dan, sell Pokemon and just move on with your life. They're not going to make a good Pokemon game for you.
They will. They're at least trying with the Guardian one. That's a different style of combat. That's why I'm excited for that one at least.
What's that? Is that the Mystery
Pokemon
Dungeon?
Mystery
Yeah, it's a different style of combat.
Yeah. But isn't that a remake?
Yeah, it's like a
But even then,
15-year-old game.
it still is better combat than the new game that just came out. So why not?
Well, I mean, it's just simple turn-based, but yeah, I
was hoping more like Final Fantasy VIII, where in the middle, like when you attack, you can hit something, and then you could potentially do a little bit more damage, and then if you defend, you can, just a little something in the.
Dan, at least you can take solace in the fact that FF7 changed up its combat from turn-based to action-based.
But also what they were neat is they changed it so that you can almost play it like it's a turn-based. So they appealed to both.
That's yet to be seen. We'll see. We'll see how much that. No, I know.
Well, yeah, we'll see.
I know they said stuff. Like I can say anything, and it doesn't have to be true. Moving on. Both PlayStation and Xbox had kind of big, news regarding their systems being released. Neither of which are very good news, depending on how you look at it. I know the people who run E3 are pretty pissed that Sony's not going to be at E3 again, and that's odd.
Yeah, that was strange, because, last year they weren't at E3, but that kind of makes sense. They didn't really have much news to say.
Didn't they still have a thingy around E3,
yeah,
though?
but what?
I
think everyone's starting to realize that with the internet and how everyone has it on mobile, you don't really need to go to the television to watch this. So, and then at that point, you don't need to.
Well, E3 used to be specifically for people who were going to it didn't used to be for like people like us, like fans. It used to be specifically for like people selling product and selling you on the product and actually having hands-on with that product. And I know it's more or less moved away from that, and I think this is just Sony, kind of realizing that, but.
Well, I think they just like Nintendo Direct. I bet you Nintendo's going to be the next one to pull out of this thing.
Nintendo, I don't think Nintendo was there last year, were they?
Yeah, so I think the Direct...
I'm sorry. They didn't have they haven't had a showcase in a long time, but they're still physically there. Sony's not even physically there. They're just not there at all.
Which I think is strange, because I think one of the big benefits of E3, especially in a console release year, is you want, like me and you, like people listening to this podcast, we're gonna know the first day that PS5 is announced. We're gonna know how to watch it and where to watch it. But what E3 does is it's a good way for, maybe publications that don't primarily cover games to be like, okay, this is the one thing we have to watch. So that then all these articles get written all at once about E3 for kind of the, the masses that are like video games but don't follow it as much as us. And then, oh, hey, the PS5's coming out and it has this, this, and this. And I feel like maybe a lot of those articles won't be written because they're not at E3, and like it's going to be kind of like its own little siloed event on like a Sunday.
I think it's smarter for PlayStation, because then E3 they're gonna get the attention now, but somebody's gonna, like, Xbox will announce something, and then maybe Steam will announce something, but it's gonna get covered in all the other stuff. And now Nintendo or PlayStation can be like, nope, we have our own event or whatever. Especially with the PlayStation.
Don't they have their own convention?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, they have a bunch of different things that they're going to do, and that they've done from year to year. And the year that the PS4 was announced, they had their own PlayStation event, in like February or March, where they unveiled the system and they had a bunch of information about it. And they talked for an hour or two, and then they also had a showcase at E3 where they kind of delved deeper into it and showed more games, because it was a little later in the year and production was ramping up, so they were trying to get the pre-orders in. So it's kind of strange that they're skipping that step if they're just going to do one all-encompassing one in between that time period, or if they're going to do kind of 2 or 3 of their own.
Well, to Dan's point, they weren't there last year and I didn't notice.
It was, but that was like a nothing year. Like, they didn't have much to say. It's, the year before was kind of that weird one where they had like those 4 games, which were still the 4 games that they were going to showcase that hadn't come out yet.
Yeah, will it be as noticeable without us actually being there if they just like did something online around E3 though? Will it be as noticeable to like you and I if they still shows like do a huge online thing? Because if you think about it, E3 does their own thing kind of I'm sorry.
Xbox.
No, not Xbox. Who are the other ones?
Nintendo?
EA does a thing
yeah.
like outside of E3. They just kind of have a conference around the time of E3, and I think Bethesda does the same. Maybe there's 2 companies that did that. And then Nintendo does their own.
Ubisoft does it. Yeah, a lot of them do
Yeah.
it. I mean,
They're all on the show floor though. Still, like that's a little different with Sony not being on the show floor. With supposedly they're showing off their new console, like actually letting people physically use it and touch it. And I do listen to a lot of other like a lot of IGN's podcasts and stuff like that. They'll tell me like what it felt like to hold the Switch for the first time, how it was playing Breath of the Wild for the first time, actually getting that hands-on experience. So actually, as a consumer, I actually value that information. So it's going to be interesting what Sony's going to do to kind of get that kind of stuff out, or if they're going to be very picky about who uses their stuff.
Well, I'm starting to wonder because I feel like a lot of game announcements, and I know this is something that you and I enjoy, is it's like, oh, here's the game, and it's coming out in 3 months. Like, so maybe
I also enjoy that.
So maybe them.
Dan gestured to Matt as if.
Well, because I know Matt
things.
and I hate like you were super excited about Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. It's like, yeah, that's
I hate waiting
that's
for games
great
for a long time.
but it has no like. Great, no date, no nothing. So it's just like, all right, that's all.
I got pretty.
Yeah,
jazzed.
I'm excited too, but I already knew that it was happening, so I wasn't.
I'm still kind of calling bullshit on that.
Okay,
but
no, I knew that another Zelda was happening, so it
this from
for
the guy
the
that
for
thought
the
we were going to
Switch.
get a Metroid Link on the Pokemon stream.
Shut up, you.
Well,
Anyway,
you know what's funny is like I couldn't wait for that to happen. Like I was really hoping Dan was right about that though, because I really wanted.
there was that time at the end, and I was like, oh, maybe they'll do
I
like,
didn't
oh,
actually
here and this.
watch the not to
Oh,
get
it's
back on the
terrible.
direct. What did they have at the
God,
end?
it's
like,
so
the very
uncomfortable.
end?
Just the guy sitting at the desk, and he's just like, oh. Hi there. I didn't see the camera crew. Like, all right, it's so
Is
bad.
that the translator?
I don't know.
talking?
Just the acting.
So,
is
anyways,
so
you were saying about E3. Sorry, Dan.
I lost my
Sorry.
my thought here. What happened? What
Well,
was I talking about?
Yeah, I think the question that I find interesting about this, kind of adding to what Andy was saying, like about if they're going to do something at the same time, like when is the announcement timeline going to be, and how does this affect that? Because I had presumed that they were going to. I kind of assumed they were going to go back to E3. They were going to have their kind of like February, March announcement of the system and be like, here's the specs, here's the system itself. We're going to show you a little bit of tidbit of information, and then at E3 they would kind of
Blow it open.
Yeah, blow it open. Here's all the games. Here's all the videos. Like here's all the release dates. Here's the price or whatever it's going to be. And now I feel like maybe they got to do that all at once. And there's kind of that added kind of problem speed bump of those 3 or 4 games we were talking about. They don't want to get in the way of the marketing for that. So I'd be surprised if they went as early as February this time, or even March. Like they might want to go after they announce those three or 4 games. And
I just had a train of thought that really worries me.
all right.
So when you were saying that, my thought was, oh, I wonder if it's maybe Sony feels like they're in this like such a dominant position still in this industry that they don't even have to bother giving anybody hands-on experience at E3. They just need to do their own. Like they already have such a huge market share in this current generation that they think they're untouchable, which is what happened at the end of the PS2 era going into the PS3, and they thought they were untouchable, and the PS3 was everybody knows what happened there. Really hurting out of the gate there with its 8 USB ports in 2006 that everybody needed, and all this other junk, and like what was it, $700 when it came out or something like that. Like I'm not saying that's what I think is going to happen. I'm just like worried, like, oh God, I hope they're not getting a little too egotistical. As much as I want kind of the landscape to even out a little bit, which doesn't look like Xbox is doing a good job at anyways, but...
No, yeah, and then I was surprised by Xbox announcement that there's not going to be any exclusives for the first year. Why would you say that? They said there was going to be no exclusives for the first year.
Do you
story.
guys think that maybe they weren't originally going to release a console this year, and they didn't decide that was the plan until PlayStation released all of that random information on Wire? What was it, Mark Carney?
Mark Cerny.
I was actually trying to do it correctly that time.
Oh my God, so embarrassing.
Do you guys think that maybe, and I this is a little bullish of me to think that they would change their entire structure of their marketing campaign around one article in a magazine, but do you guys think that maybe they thought PlayStation wasn't going to release until 2021, and that was their plan until that Wired magazine article came out, and they're like, we can't let them get out of the gate first, and that's when they decided that's maybe why we haven't really, because the Xbox, the E3 following that article, they didn't have anything on the Xbox except like a bunch of like random information that was like really generic.
We bought this studio, or
the Xbox is gonna be great. That's basically what they said about the next one, and then aside from getting like a really bad model, like what it looks like recently, we really don't know too much information. Should you guys think that there's some like does that idea hold any water that maybe they weren't planning on releasing this year until PlayStation decided?
I think that's a fair conspiracy kind of theory. Where
it is a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. I don't really follow much of I don't really believe much of that. I feel like they had a presence at E3 for the Scarlet. They had they brought the system itself out before Sony. I feel like it's kind of all been pointing in this direction for kind of a long time.
Scarlet.
Who's to know?
You mean the Xbox One X? What that became?
No, sorry, the new whatever. What do they call it at E3? They had a different
Oh,
name
I'm
for
sorry.
it.
Xbox One X was Scorpion.
Scorpio.
So
no, Scarlet
so this was
the new
Scarlet,
one, right?
Yeah, they had it at E3, like physically.
No, not the system, but they had like he went over a few little bullet points and came up and said, "Hey, we're working on it," and kind of like announced a few features on it, like on the E3 stage, and then they have that console that they released at the Game Awards. So I mean, it could be possible. I'm sure they were trying to figure out when Sony was going to release theirs, but I feel like everything kind of pointed to the winner, at the end of this year. I'm just kind of surprised because what this means is like I didn't even know Halo Infinite was going to be backwards, like on both systems. So that's going to be on both systems.
Whoa! What?
Halo Infinite's going to be on Xbox One. So we don't have to buy an Xbox
and
a new Xbox Series X.
It's going to be on Xbox One and
Xbox One Series X,
Xbox.
the new one.
Oh, okay. Well, you said I thought you meant like it was going to be on PlayStation or something. I'm like, what?
No, but it just makes me think like obviously they're not going to be able to use all of the bells and whistles in these new systems if they have to kind of build it towards the lowest common denominator of this like OG 2013 Xbox One.
Why wouldn't they use Halo as a catalyst for the next Xbox?
Yeah, you would really
They
want
might
to
change that.
They weren't originally planning on releasing it on the new system, and they weren't planning on releasing a new system
Well,
this
maybe
year.
the game they've been working on for a long time, so I do
That's
think
true.
that was something that they kind of switched midway to, hey, we're going to make this
That's
a launch
probably
game.
very true.
But they're saying like all their first-party games for the first year or two will be compatible with like will not be for that system alone. Presumably that means they'll be on Xbox One as well, which means like with these new powerful systems, it's not only going to be graphic power, it's going to be like how many enemies can you have on a screen, how intelligent is the AI. You're going to have to cut that back for even your new system to kind of be able to play on these older Xbox Ones, like not even the X, but just the base Xbox One S.
Well, there's already current gen games coming out for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One that are chugging on them now, let alone something that's not even made for this generation.
Yeah, but oh god, what was I?
I'm sorry, Dan. I keep like pseudo interrupting you, and then you completely lose your train of thought.
If you remember those like Assassin's Creeds and those kind of cross-generation games they had before, they looked better on the newer system, but it wasn't like this drastic, like, oh my god, this is the next generation. And
It just felt like an HD'd version of the other game.
And that's what you want if you buy a $500 system. You've bought in, you're getting it on the first day. You want it to push all the boundaries. You want it to do stuff that your PS4, your Xbox One X couldn't do in like a million years. But that's not going to be possible unless you buy like a PlayStation 5, which is confirmed that they're going to have exclusive games.
So what I was thinking is, I think Microsoft downplayed the importance of exclusives this generation, and I think they kept trying to push it.
That's a huge understatement too.
Yeah. So what I think happened was, I think they were like, nope, FIFA and all that. It'll still sell really well on our console. We'll be right with them, because I mean, again, you said the Xbox 360 was king for a long time.
Right up until Kinect became their focus.
Yeah. So at that point, then they were like, oh crap, all right, we need to focus on the next system. So they focused on the next system, but then they're so focused on, hey, we're Xbox, we have Gears of War, we have Halo, that's it. We'll focus on that. And then they realize, oh, that's not enough to carry the entire generation. We're not Nintendo. We can't just bank off like different Mario games. So I think with purchasing all these small companies like Ninja Theory and all these other smaller developers, I think
it was like 20 to 30 developers they bought, right?
Well,
they bought a lot.
Yeah,
right?
so but I just
There's a lot. But
I just
a lot of
recall
them
it.
were kind of smaller. They weren't known for huge games. Like
So
still they make good games, but
I just
AAA.
And I'm wondering if they're trying to pump enough money into them that they become AAA and become like the hey every 3 years we're gonna have a Ninja Theory like exclusive game or something like that. And that would now I'm starting to think that would make sense that because I feel like I heard about these like purchases of these companies probably a year.
It's been a couple of years now.
A year or two. Yeah, but if you think about it, to make a full-fledged
it takes a while.
Well, not only that, they got to sit down, whatever they're doing, they have to finish whatever product they're doing. Then, with the merger, that's when they have to sit down with Microsoft and be like, all right, this is what we want you to make.
But you think that Xbox should have been thinking about this for 6 years now, because it's been, like, the console's been out for that long and over 6 years now, and the exclusive problem has been an issue the entire time.
Yeah, no, I'm also shocked too, is because it's not like they have like with PlayStation 4 where they still have like some loaded in the gun here, ready to go. They like Last of Us 2, Ghost of Tsushima, so they still.
Oh my god, I forgot PlayStation 4 still has a crap ton of exclusives. Yeah, doesn't it?
Exactly. So
the remake of FF7 is PS4 exclusive,
for a year.
Timed, yes. I think. Yeah.
So but what I'm thinking is that I'm actually surprised that with that they wouldn't be postponing some of these games to the new system. They don't even have any games to postpone. Like Forza 9, like they just
this is going deeper down the rabbit hole. But do you think when they turned the corner from the 360 to the Xbone, they pretty much put all of their eggs in the Kinect? And putting your cable box into the system are going to be the future. Do you think that was kind of the point of no return, and they've been kind of doing damage control ever since?
I mean, they were doing damage control throughout this entire generation, but I thought they were setting themselves up in the background with Phil Spencer. Seemed like a smart guy that knew what he was doing with like putting everything in order, buying these big developers. But to me, if you had asked me last year, I'd been like, oh my God, Xbox is going to make me want to buy a second system in the same year, the day it comes out. But if you ask me now, like I have no intention of buying the system.
Yeah.
I have an Xbox One. Like, what is the sales pitch for why either of the three of us should buy the system?
Yeah.
We have an Xbox One. We can play all the PS5 exclusives. We can play all the cross-platform exclusives on the PS5. If there's like one or two really good Microsoft games, we can play it on Xbox One. Maybe it won't look as good, but we're not going to pay an extra $600 just to play one or two good games. So we're gonna at least wait a year or two. Yeah. And then the price will go down a little, and maybe they'll have a catalog that'll make that worth doing. But
do you think it'll be too little, too late if they smashed it out of the park in their second year?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Look at what the Switch.
Two separate answers.
I don't think so because I mean, yes, I know
Nintendo's different.
I know.
Nintendo
compete.
Dan, I wish I videotaped what you just did for the listeners, because I don't think the noise that they heard did it justice to what I was seeing. This gesticulation flamboyantly of your neck in and out towards the microphone.
Can I tell you why Dan, our DJ friend over here, is wrong?
DJ party in the house.
I think some of these people underestimate how important just like the social aspect of gaming is, how much it is to have early adopters, like people like us that are going to get these systems, and we're going to be telling our friends that are kind of maybe a little less into video games, hey, get a PS5, we can play this game together. This game is so cool on my PS5, why don't you check it out? We're not going to be telling them about the Xbox One X, game that came out, because we won't have it. It's just people like that are kind of in the forefront of these video games that are going to be telling their friends that are a little bit behind, and then they'll be telling their friends that are a little bit more casual, and it just kind of builds from that. Like, if one of the reasons I like PS5 is all my friends lists are full when I go in there. When I go on Xbox, like I have a bunch of people that haven't. Yeah, when I play on Xbox One, people like haven't been signed on for 8 years. It's like super depressing.
That is actually what I see on Xbox too. Like, now these are friends that I made like 6 years ago, but like most of them are not on. Yeah, there's so much we could say here about
it's like a domino effect.
We can all agree that. This isn't good for Xbox. We can all agree on that.
No, it's not good, but I mean, there is promise with all those people that or developers that they purchased. you know that there's going to be good ones.
Well,
down
that's
the,
the
look
problem.
at PlayStation 3.
We don't even know. We don't even know really anything that's been announced through those developers. We don't have like a roadmap. We haven't seen anything. We don't know anything. For all we know, like it could just be a bunch of like, malware.
Well.
Crap games coming on the Xbox Live that no one's going to want to play.
It could be, but I feel like, I
don't think that's
the first
true,
game that they revealed was probably a game that a lot of people have never even played or never even heard of. Hellblade? That's what I'm saying. So I think with that...
I shrugged. There was no audio to it.
Yeah,
but I shrugged.
He shrugged and gave me a look. But a lot of... And I think that was a sign to fans of like... the hardcore fans that they are focusing more on story-based, games and more like games that gamers like really hardcore people like than, a Call of Duty. Because I feel like this system has been they tried to push everything to digital and multiplayer. Cuphead was only a digital release. PlayerUnknown Battleground was only a digital release. They and a lot of their games were multiplayer focused.
Was that the choices of the developers or of them though?
Well, I feel like all their first party. Look at Sea of Thieves. It was multiplayer only, exclusive.
Sea of Thieves was multiplayer only?
Yeah.
Oh,
you can't play it by yourself. You can play it by yourself, but it usually takes 4 people to run a ship.
I thought it was like an action adventure. I thought it looked kind of like Prince of Persia, but just on ships. That's the feel I was getting.
It was also very generic, and it got a lot of bad reviews initially. They've done a lot of work, but also they have the funding of a AAA
Rare
company behind them. I don't know.
What's left of
Rare. It
yeah,
could be.
To me, this is just a bad look for Xbox because if you think about it, when the 360 and PS3 came out, the PS3 took a huge hit right away. Now, they already had a huge market share from the PS2, obviously the best-selling console of all time for now. They trailed out of the gate. They lost a lot of that market share to Xbox, and then it switched. They were able to catch up at the end.
I think they were able to catch up a little bit too because of free online. That was the last
free
one.
online for a while until that hack happened, and then that's when they're like, no more free online because Sony Online went offline for like a month and a half.
Yeah, I remember that. It was like near
hack.
Christmas, but
I don't think it was.
I don't recall paying for multiplayer on PlayStation 3 ever. I could be wrong, but
I can't remember if they decided to initiate it. I'm pretty sure they initiated it then.
Okay.
If anybody hasn't seen a documentary on YouTube, it's called. I don't think it's supposed to be on YouTube, but it's called Console Wars. It's about the Xbox 360 versus the PS3. Check it out. It's really good. It's only about like 35 minutes long, but PlayStation was able to catch up towards the end. It's been a different situation here. Yeah. Xbox. Even though the Xbox One, I will say, has gotten slightly better from where they started on, back in 2013. They haven't gained that much traction, and I feel like this is going to lose them even more of that market share that they barely have now anyways. So even if they were to pull a PS3 and kind of like kick it back into gear halfway through this generation, I think it might be too little too late. That like they would need to like obliterate PlayStation in the second year. They would need to completely like exclusive after exclusive after exclusive and really offer something. Otherwise, there's really no hope of them overtaking the console race,
Yeah.
Nintendo's different. Nintendo's an outlier.
Yeah.
People own both either a PlayStation or an Xbox as well as a Switch. Like the Nintendo's the outlier. It always has.
It really, it is unique. It really, you go around an airport or whatever, at some public place, you always see one.
Yeah.
And
it's kids can play their Fortnite on it now at the airports.
Yuck.
What were you going to say, Matt?
Yeah, I just want to kind of push back on the kind of internet consensus that I've seen this week ever since this story announced. Like, a lot of people have been saying, hey, this is like really consumer friendly. You don't have to spend all this money on a new system, which to me just sounds like really missing the point.
Wait. I'm sorry. So people are generally saying that they're happy because now they don't have to worry about buying two systems?
No, they're saying like it's a good idea.
It's consumer friendly because it's not cutting off people saying they have to, if they buy an Xbox One, they can still use it for a bunch of years. They'll keep developing games, which is true, but also like, they've made a bunch of Xbox One games for those players. They're continuing to make Xbox One games for those players.
Oh, it's consumer friendly to the people who already have an Xbox
To consumers that
One.
can make the decision when they want about if they want to upgrade or not. But to me, it feels like, the people that are most loyal, the people that are buying it on day one, they're kind of saying to them, like, we value you less than the other people, so we're going to make a less...
Also, wasn't it going to be backwards compatible anyways?
It is. It's going to be fully... That is the one great thing that the Xbox Series X... I'm going to get one at some point. It is a definite at that point.
Is that really the name they're sticking with, or is
the Series X?
I
presumably they're going to make a bunch of different upgraded consoles over the years, so maybe they'll make even more than one or two like they did this season.
I'm so confused with everything they're doing.
I don't get it. I literally think the guy, that came with the name 360 knocked it out of the park, but also stabbed them right in the ass because he gave him such a cool name, but he didn't. Like, where do you go from there? Like, 360.
Just name it something else. You don't have to name it the Xbox One. Just name it Xbox Revolution.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He did that, but then the next one was, Xbox One. And then now people were really confused for a long time about, wait, what? And, if you type it into eBay or anything like that, it's like 50-50 about what comes up.
Then they named their upgraded system the Xbox One. Like, we could go on forever about
this might
Xbox
also be
failings, but all of this does not seem good.
Yeah, it almost seems like they're kind of starting a broad strategy of kind of graying, even more so graying the kind of timeline between these generations. Like, they already did it with these half steps with the Xbox One X, but now they're doing this like Series X where it's backwards compatible, where all the games are going to be able to play on the Xbox One. So it seems like I wouldn't be surprised if every 2 years they make an Xbox game that can play the old games and the new games look better, and then like it'll take 6 or 8 years, like 8 years for games to not be able to be played on the newest version, kind of like a cell phone where it just gets upgraded over and over and over, and there's like incremental changes, and then all of a sudden you'll be like, you'll have to fucking read the back of the box to be like, oh, this works on generation 7 and before, and it's just gonna become a nightmare.
That was like the new 3DS.
Because they're gonna want to sell more systems,
they
and
had
more
those
dongles to everyone.
How many games actually were only playable on the new
I think it was
3DS?
only 3 or 4. It was like a handful. One of them was like a Monster Hunter.
Like, I got that just because I liked
the bigger screen, and then also
I think I had still had a Gen 1 3DS, so that was like the biggest upgrade.
It's a huge upgrade for, even from the other one, it was just, I remember the one before it was a big screen, but it was just really
that
clunky.
Was the XL, I think.
Yeah, and it was nice, but I remember also there was the 3D slider wasn't great, like it didn't always lock into place, and this one just really felt good, like in the hands compared to the other one. Plus, they announced like the Majora's Mask edition, and I went fucking nuts trying to find that thing.
I remember that.
You convinced me not to overpay by $100.
Dan was going to pay like what, $300 or $400 for this.
Yep, and then I ended up finding it.
Yeah, he ended up finding it in
a week
store.
later for the regular price.
You know what? This whole Xbox things with you're welcome. This whole Xbox thing with like the graying of the names and kind of confusing the consumers reminds me a lot of Ghost Rider. So, hear me out.
Explain.
Everyone loves my analogies. So Fox came out with Ghost Rider starring Nicolas Cage. It was a movie about a Marvel character who, I think he was dead, maybe. I don't know, he had a flaming skull on a motorcycle. And then
I didn't see it.
3 years later, they came out with Ghost Rider. I don't know what the subtitle was. It was like Ghost Rider something something. He's back, or I don't know, whatever it was. It was another Ghost Rider movie starring Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider, but it was a reboot, and nobody understood because it looked exactly the same with the same main actor. And that's how I kind of feel about these like Xboxes. Like, I never know exactly what's going on, how they're naming things, because they make it so confusing for the consumer. PlayStation made it the easiest. Nintendo
screwed that up with Wii and Wii U.
Well, not only that, kind of how they named their Mario games too. The super duper new Mario 3DS.
The new Super
Switch,
Mario U
DX. Like, Nintendo's not great with it either, but like I've never had an issue with Nintendo doing that, I guess, because at least I like knew. And granted, we're plugged in, we know what's going on too, but like for a general consumer standpoint, it's just confusing.
Well, it's really confusing. I mean, working in the game store when the Wii U came out, they were like, for the Wii? And
nobody knew.
Add the U to that.
Yeah. And, I hope for the best for Xbox. I want this generation
competition
to be competitive.
Is good. I hate when I see, like, people yelling at each other like, PlayStation fanboys. What they don't realize is that both of them doing well keeps each company in check. So if PlayStation realizes we dominate, we don't have to do anything, they're gonna take the foot off the pedal.
We're gonna get a PS3.
Yeah, we're gonna get the initial
I'm telling
of
you,
the PlayStation
I'm worried
3.
about that.
I don't think I think they got
I don't think Mark would do that to us.
No, Mark
Cerny.
Mark Kearney might, but not Mark Cerny.
No, it was Carney I was calling him.
Well, whatever. Mr. can't pronounce his last name. Anyway, point is, I really think that PlayStation nailed the formula this because I felt like I was always looking forward to another exclusive for the PlayStation that was coming out. It was like Days Gone, and then it was Horizon Zero Dawn, and it was
They got the
Killzone,
formula.
and all these games right down the line.
How many missteps have PlayStation made this generation?
The Vita.
Does that count
wasn't
as this
even-
generation?
Does that count as a misstep? Like it happened.
Vita TV.
No.
That was bad.
Because Vita happened, and then they didn't really like. I feel like a misstep would have been them continuously trying to push it in our face, but they sort of just
They still
walked away.
They still kind of have. They still have updates going for the Vita. So they still haven't given it, like they haven't focused and tried to, like they know that it's on the downslide.
I feel like it's like a kid, like they keep locked in a cage at home, but they'll bring out just to make the public
Yeah, I mean they stopped
seem like that they still
manufacturing
take
them.
care
They're
of the
not really
child.
doing much with it, but
yeah, so...
Oh, sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to segue.
Oh, okay. No, I'm good.
we're done.
I'm good.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of the PlayStation, why don't you tell everybody about the new controller you're pretty excited for, or the new add-on to a controller you're excited for?
Oh, so yes, it's they have a really, really catchy title for this.
That weird back button one.
Yes, so it's coming out.
We talked about this before.
Yeah, it releases on the 23rd of this month. It's $29.99, but it's called the back button attachment. Really, they really sat in the marketing room for a while on that one, right? Anyway, so it basically adds, so it attaches or it connects to like the auxiliary like port on the bottom of your PlayStation 4 controller, and basically it's like two little like pads that like basically form like the controls, and instead of having to click down or something, you just kind of pull on the, like, I don't know what you would call it, the wing or the grip. You pull on the grip and it's actual button left and right. And each one is going to be like you can program it to be any button you want. Plus you can do it on the fly. So it's because there's like an LED screen on the back. So if you're like, oh, you know what, I don't like this, instead of having to go through a menu and then hitting the button submit, this one you can just do, right away. You can be like, oh, I want this to be L2. Oh, that didn't work. But
Are you gonna pick it up?
Yes, I think for $30.
What are you gonna use it for though? Like Call of Duty and stuff?
I'm using it for Call of Duty. Sometimes there's games that just it just doesn't feel right. Like I'll play it for, if I play a game for an hour and I still have to think about the controls, that's something I need to change. So I think the last game that I really needed to focus and like change the controls a lot was a game called Outward. That was like that hardcore RPG game.
Not super familiar.
It came out early this year, but just the controls were so bad for it that I needed to. I actually bought it on Xbox just so I could program the buttons differently. But I think this trigger thing is going to make certain games like Call of Duty a lot easier. So, those people that jump and have perfect aim, they have one of these crazy, $200 like elite controllers that they can program the buttons. And for $30, I mean, if you already have the controller, that's not a bad little upgrade. Especially when you can, like I said, you can program it to the two buttons at any time. And you don't have to buy this crazy.
So is this something you're definitely getting?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't imagine getting. I don't really think I need it at all. It's not
me either.
something, like I never really feel like I needed 2 extra buttons or 2 buttons behind here. Like I feel like
I don't think you need it, but I think it's one of those things that it really might make a lot of games just a little bit easier.
Do you find it hard to hit buttons?
No, but I mean, if you think about it, IGN did a video on it, explaining that they think that this might be a foreshadowing of what the PlayStation 5 controller might be.
I saw that floating around.
That's what I wanted to talk about, because I'm thinking maybe is this something that they're going to add to every controller on the PS5? And that gets me thinking about what's the cost of these new controllers going to be? Because I feel like
it's going to be expensive. It's going to be like $80.
Yeah, every iteration they add new stuff to it, and it gets more and more expensive, and it's just getting to the point where they're like $60 now, which is a full-fledged game. The Switch controllers are like $80 for the pair. It's like
the Joy-Cons.
Yeah, the Joy-Cons.
So
Pro controller $70.
Here's the thing: I'm a bit more on board with these if it was a replacement for the touchpad that we have on the front, because I don't really feel like that's very useful at all.
Well, I think
I feel like every time I want to use it as I only ever use it as a button.
Yeah.
And I have to, you have to kind of move your thumbs towards the center. It is a little annoying and a little
Days
weird.
Gone was the only one that tried to utilize it recently, and it was stupid.
Cool.
It was neat, but I mean,
add those on the back. Get rid of the LED light. That's I honestly, when I'm in Grand Theft Auto and I'm being chased by the cops, it is very fun that it goes from red to blue, red to blue, red to blue. That's fun, but it's pretty useless.
You also don't. Well, I didn't even think about it the other day. I was looking online because I was trying to fix one of my controllers, and they were saying how do I shut off the light when trying to watch a movie? And I was like, oh, I didn't even think of that. You can't block it. If you're in a movie,
you can turn off the controller. You can dim the light.
You can dim the light, but I mean, it still has to be on, which is kind of goofy.
You can turn off the controller
while watching a movie. It doesn't screw it up.
Well, once you play the movie, once you hit play, just go to the.
Oh, I thought you could. Oh, well. Anyway,
if you hold down the PlayStation button, go to devices and just turn off controller.
Oh, I thought it would boot you out.
No.
I thought it signed you out, but
no.
Yeah, so I thought that was fun, but I thought
because your controller can go into sleep mode and turn off without you being booted out.
Oh, I see. I thought that was entirely based on the system. I thought when the system shuts down, it cancels the signal.
Your controller goes off way before that. If you have, depending on what settings you have set up, I have it set up to where. I mean, my controller goes out after a certain amount of time, but do you really think the DualShock 5s, presumably, might as well just
That's
keep
what they call DS5,
yeah.
Do a logo for it!
Do you think they're going to be upwards of $80? Do you think that they're going to add that much to it?
I don't know. I
think they'll do it 70. I think they'll do what Nintendo did and be like, oh, here.
Well, it's the Pro controller 60, isn't it?
70.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, because I remember it was $670.
I think I got mine with a Best Buy gift card. So
but I mean, this might be, we'll probably be able to use our PS4 controllers on the PS5, and the system will come with one, so it might not be something that we'll have to worry too much about buying extra controllers for all our friends.
That's what they're saying.
Say that.
What?
Because
I'm saying you don't have to worry about it.
I know. Well, Andy screwed up then. If that's if you can use your PS4 controller on the PS5.
Did you sell one?
No, Andy fucked up. Andy was gonna. It was on sale on either Christmas or Black Friday. That nice new sweet purple PS4 controller.
You'll find it. Yeah, but
I purposely didn't buy it. The reasoning being, well, the PS5 is coming out next year, and it's probably not going to work for it. It's going to come with a new controller, so why am I going to buy a new PS4 controller now just because it's purple, even though I really like purple? Now you're saying that it would have worked with my new system, maybe?
Presuming it will.
They presume it will. And
who's they?
IGN.
Who are these they?
And me.
And Matt. Matt's presuming as well?
Yeah. I think Xbox is all but pretty much confirmed that you can use the old controllers on it.
Could you imagine with using the Xbox controller and those AA batteries, they also had an LED light running? You'd have to change your batteries once a day.
Oh my god! Yeah, I'm sure. I think the picture that they showed with the new system was the same controller.
That might have just been just for stock reasons, they just didn't have the full design out yet.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean,
I think the Xbox One did the same thing, didn't they? It was just the Xbox One controller with the Series X.
I don't remember. Oh, well, the series... Oh, well, yeah. So... But I figured for the $30 attachment, it makes a lot of games, especially multiplayer. If you need something quick, you need to take your finger off a button to press something really quick. It's more of a competitive thing.
Again, the only thing that I can imagine ever taking my thumb off to really need to do would be to touch the touchpad, and I don't use that in any of my...
touch the touchpad, but also touch... triangle, is taking completely off a button.
I don't know. I feel like that's for those pro players who play professionally and really need that half second. I'm not that type of person. I can never imagine playing.
A certain multiplayer game, and even like I said, for some games that it's just uncomfortable.
I don't want to pay $30 extra just to be a little bit better than people in my multiplayer games.
But if you think about it, like I know the triggers are nice on the PlayStation 4, but they were in that video. They made a good point where you could use the left pull and the right pull as the what's it called, as the trigger, like L1, L2, and R2. So at that point, instead of having to pull down, where sometimes that might screw up my thumbs, at this point it's less movement in the hand.
Screw up your thumbs how?
So when you press down on it, your thumbs naturally will move a little bit.
Again, yeah, you're talking about like milliseconds.
Yeah, but it's comfort too. At that point you wouldn't have to move your hand.
If I felt like if this was the PS3 controller, I'd be like, get this garbage out of my hands. Get me something to fix this. But the PS4 controller, I've just had zero problems
nice
with.
But also, it goes back to, I think, what we were talking about last week, where, remember how you said naturally how your hands like just want to like cradle the top, L2, and then those other ones hit the R2s and the L1s, whatever. That would allow that, because that would be the L2 and the R2, the handles, and then you'd only have to rest your the index fingers on the top part of it.
I mean, I'm not saying I can't understand why people would want it. I'm just saying I don't want it. I have no use for it. I think it's a little silly for like just a general gamer.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, some games I just have a real problem with the controls, and
I have an issue with game developers switching around the controllers. I've gone over my whole X needs to be jump in every game thing before.
Yeah, so at that point, sometimes some games don't allow that. So at least with this, you can program it to something you want. So just to make it a little bit easier.
I mean, if a game has button mapping, a game has button mapping. That doesn't really matter on the controller you're using.
No, but
can you button map in Fallout 4? Could I have changed this the entire time and I just wasn't doing it?
I don't remember. But all I know...
wait, you mean the controller, like you can make those pads act as any button you feel like. Is that what you mean?
Yes, and you can do it on the fly, too. So it's something... Because PlayStation, you can actually change the buttons any way you want. So if you press circle, it can be X. You can be whatever you want. But the problem is that's set for every game.
Okay, that I can see value in. Because there are certain games where I do want to map buttons differently.
But you don't want to do it for everything.
Well, no. That's why a lot of games do have it, like Halo... the Master Chief Collection, you're able to actually go into the game and you actually can like map out the entire controller however you want, I'm pretty sure.
The Master Chief?
Yeah. I was showing you because I was changing the different controller settings and stuff like that.
I remember Halo Reach, one of the reasons I didn't like playing it was because I didn't like how you aim with the stick.
Yeah, that's why we went over this on last week's podcast, where in the Master Chief Collection, I changed it to left triggers aim down the sights for all of them. You can do that in the Master Chief Collection.
I thought I...
Originally, you did. Originally in Halo Reach, in all of the Halos, it was L3 to aim down the sights with the sniper rifle or the pistol. It was... Back then, I didn't think it was weird. Now I think it's really weird because I'm
you're so used to L2, R2, which feels comfortable. But in the HD version in the Master Chief Collection, I really dug deep into the settings to try and find it, and I don't think you could.
Yeah.
So
I did it, and B, I told you to do it, and then C, you said you did do it.
Well, I changed it. There's a lot going on. There's plasma grenades and
not a lot going on. Is there anything else you guys want to say about the potential of these controllers or how they're mapped? Matt had very little to say about this.
Nope.
Yeah. What do we think the prices are going to be for the new systems?
$499.
Yeah. I would say $499 for both of them.
What was the retail of the PS4 and Xbox One when they came out?
$499 and $600.
No, the PS4 was $399. The Xbox was $499 because it had the.
Oh, sorry, you're right.
Kinect.
You're right. It was $500, and then Xbox was like, "Nope, we're not getting rid of the Kinect. No, we're not getting rid of the Kinect. You need to have it. You need to have it." And then like, you know what? Fuck it, we're gonna sell it without the Kinect. And then not only that, to the point where the new systems don't even you can't plug it directly into.
Oh yeah, like they completely abandoned.
Not only
stupid.
Yeah, I can't even plug the Kinect upstairs into my Xbox One X unless I buy a $40 adapter.
Yeah. I am kind of surprised they didn't try to utilize it for VR support though. Maybe they just realized because PlayStation uses the camera, right?
Yes.
So it's basically the same theory, but it was $399 for the PlayStation 4 because I remember I got it a year after it came out and it was like a deal because it came with two games:
Grand Theft Auto and
Last of Us, and Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, I just feel like that price point's going to be too hard to reach at this point, especially from a lot of... We're hearing that this jump is going to be kind of more significant than the last generation jump.
Yeah, twice as strong.
Not to mention...
The economy's doing a little better now than it was.
The world economy is doing a lot
so people can afford it. And just like better. Inflation, like it's worth, $400 isn't worth the same that it was 7 or 8 years ago.
How much inflation has changed?
I think we've checked this in a previous episode. It was like $60 or $70, so it's enough that they would have to bump it.
And I'm wondering too, like... With the PlayStation 3, weren't they losing money per sale technically at the beginning?
Not originally because it was $700.
Yeah.
But then they decided, or it might have even been with the $700 when they were still losing money. But then they quickly took a bunch of stuff off and they decided, hey, we're gonna make the console cheaper. We're gonna take that loss, but we need to start selling consoles, and it eventually worked for them in the end.
Yeah,
I want to believe there was another. I think PlayStation 4 had the same thing where for a while they were losing money on the system.
Yes, I believe they were too. But that was smart because they were trying to. I feel like a lot of 360 people were like, "Nope, we're gonna stick with Xbox," and then they quickly found out, "Ooh, there's not much here. It's pretty, pretty dead. So hey, let's jump over to PlayStation." I just hope it's more competitive next year with the newer systems. I want there to be more exclusives. I bought Super Lucky Tail for Xbox, so I was like, give me something new. And it's like, there's nothing. I mean, there's Recore, which is a neat, unique game, it's made by the same people who did Metroid. And then State of Decay, but most of them are AA games that they really tried to shove into the AAA category. And I don't feel like it worked all too well with a lot of them.
The cost of a PlayStation 4, $400 would be $438 today. So plug that into the fact that they're going to make it even more powerful than maybe previous jumps were, and I could see it easily being $500 or hopefully not more because I want it, but I could see that happening. Is there anything else you guys want to bring to the table today?
We forgot to mention, I don't know, maybe we did mention this briefly, but in along with the delay of Final Fantasy VII, they delayed Avengers by 3 months.
Briefly.
Yeah, so it was May 15th, and now it's going to be September 4th.
There was a lot of talk that game kind of lost control a little bit, and they were like, we don't know what we...
What exactly does that mean, though? What do we know about... Was there, huge developmental issues?
Yeah, there was a lot of development issues, and I guess the game didn't... it wasn't...
I wouldn't say reviews from the early previews. The people that had hands-on said it was good, but then that original video was not kind of lackluster.
Yeah,
and just the fact that it's this whole online game. There was a lot of questions about okay, so the side missions you can do online, but the main missions you do alone. But you can't each choose the same hero. So even though you're upgrading Hulk and you love Hulk, your friend can't play as Hulk if they love Hulk too. So it's just there's all these questions all at once about how this works.
Yeah, I can already see in the cracks in that
Just
surface.
make the damn thing single player and then multiplayer if you want.
It's kind of a bummer. I wasn't like I'm going to definitely buy this game, but I've been curious about it ever since they announced it because of all these problems, and I kind of really like that kind of Destiny style game, so it could be something that I could be into. And again, it's a live game. What kind of end game content it is going to have? And now that it's bumping up in September, it's you got to deal with the new consoles coming out in a month or two. Do you really want to play a live game for that long with this new stuff coming out? Is it going to get lost in the noise?
You can play it offline and stuff. So if you want to focus on the story part,
the Avengers.
Yes.
Also, if you did want to play a multiplayer, why don't you just pull a Halo and just have 4 Master Chiefs running around? So what if more than one person wants to play as the Hulk?
That would be funny.
Just have 4 Hulks.
Purple Hulk, Green Hulk, Yellow Hulk. Let's go. All right.
Purple Hulk was a character.
Yes.
And Red Hulk, too.
Interesting.
And it'll be interesting to see how characters that can fly can play with the Hulk, who can't really fly, just can run around and jump. I'm assuming they thought of all that, and it'll probably
he can jump really high, though.
Yeah, maybe he'll just be super fast to where he's just a 80-mile-per-hour train. And
I remember
everything is low so that you can fly near them or whatever.
In DC Universe Online, if you picked a speedster type character, you could literally run up the buildings and over them. Thank you were that fast.
Yeah, so I guess I'm just more curious to hear what that game's going to be out. Obviously, if it was still coming out in May, we would have heard pretty soon more in-depth analysis. But now that it's been delayed 3 months, it's probably going to be a little longer till we probably won't hear anything till the summer about exactly what this game is.
I wonder if they might just push it to PlayStation 5. Be
Well,
like, you know what? Hey,
Because it's a live game, I'm assuming it'll be something that'll release on the PlayStation 5 as well, and it'll be one of those things where, like, okay, it's backwards compatible. You can just keep playing it on your PS5.
yeah.
I mean, I would assume that Square Enix would, if it is indeed coming out in September, they're probably going to make that the forefront of their E3 thing this year. Although they didn't have their normal E3 showcase last year. I think Xbox took that spot last year, so I'm wondering if Square Enix is going to have anything.
It'll be weird because this will be right after the 7 remake. Like, they won't have much. The Crystal Chronicles probably might still not be out, so they could say something about that. But like, unless they have, they could have some big stuff under the wraps, like the next mainline Final Fantasy, or they could say more about when the second Final Fantasy 7 game is going to come out.
They have other franchises though, don't they?
Yes.
Don't they have? Was it?
I mean,
I'm gonna butcher
Just
this.
Cause.
I was gonna say Max Payne.
They've got weird stuff because they've got Crystal Dynamics, so they've got like they've got Tomb Raider
Deus Ex.
games. Yeah, they can.
I
There's
think
a lot of
with
teams.
Platinum Games on some stuff too. That might be someone else I'm thinking of.
I haven't.
I'm not very good at this.
I don't know those, but I
Don't
know
just
that.
say things you have no idea.
Oh, I just say whatever.
Yeah, I think the two big ones
it'll
that
be
they
interesting
have
to see
is
coming up after
Deus
7.
Ex. And,
Should have heard people after I think it was our first or second episode. I don't know. We were talking a bunch about like PC stuff, and there was like a few people who were just like, "You guys have no idea what you're talking about," because none of us are really PC gamers. This was before you got your PC. I had one, but just didn't know much about them. But yeah, we don't know everything. We just kind of do our thing.
Shoot the shit.
Matt's bad at video games. I don't know anything. Why are we doing this?
So bad at them. I'm determined to beat Resident Evil HD. I've already beaten it with Jill, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Haven't you beaten it before though?
I've beaten it many times, but like I feel like I'm getting to the point where more and more often I'm getting frustrated at game's difficulty and just not plowing through and just being like, I'll just play something else. So I think I just have to stick to games that are giving me trouble until I actually can beat them.
I would love
your new
I would
nickname
love
will be
to
the sticker
to secretly hide all your games and just give you like Bloodborne and be like, that's all you can play until you
Oh
beat
my
it.
god, those games just infuriate the hell out of me.
What do you want? Torture him?
It's like they're not
No,
even
it'd just
trying
be
to be
funny
fun.
because he's just like, ah.
it'll be funny to make him
It's like
upset.
nothing about that seems fun to me. Just playing the same boss for 4 hours, like
not
the whole
same-
night.
Oh well, you just
Yeah,
suck,
because I wouldn't be able to beat him, and I'd just be getting pissed off, like, this is stupid. And then I know I would look online for like hints and stuff, and then I'm like, I'm not even playing the game. I'm looking online for figure out how to cheese this. It's just gonna be like a nightmare.
What if that's old. I mean, you coined the phrase, you came up with it. What if your new nickname was The Happening?
The Happening?
Yeah, but that's kind of a thing now.
Yeah,
It's
that
kind
doesn't
of
really
like
count as a
group thing.
nickname.
Matt, I'm really trying here, and you're not helping.
Yeah, you seem to care a lot more about my nickname than me. Maybe I should actually try to figure something out.
Maybe.
Just so I can stop
Maybe.
having to deal with this
He
every
does care.
episode.
Maybe.
I mean, I already have one. I'm the trophy hunter who hasn't
You said
gotten
that
it.
Yeah, but you're like
You poked holes in these nicknames, not
yeah,
me.
that is true. I mean, so have you.
You're the one who said, like, oh, I haven't completed a game in forever. I'm not the completionist. Oh, I don't collect trophies. Look at me. I'm Matt.
Oh my god. That's what you should... It's Matt.
That's what I did last week.
That's my nickname.
Just ugh.
All right. Boys, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Matt Talks Games.
And you can find me, Dan, so at Game Review Guy on Twitter.
I wonder if people can tell us from our voices yet. I know people would tell me, like,
Probably,
I can't tell
but
Dan and
you
Matt
also
apart.
have talked about yourself in the third person a few times, which probably doesn't help the situation.
I don't do it that often.
You did it today.
Did I?
Yes.
Oh. Maybe I just do it more than I realized. You can find me at Highly and Andy on Twitter, and you can also find the podcast at manabarpodcast on Twitter or the manabarpodcast on Instagram. You can also email us anytime at manabarpodcast@gmail.com. And if you decide that listening to our podcast on one of your many podcast listening devices is not the way to go, you can also check out our YouTube channel, where we also have exclusive content from time to time that you can't get on this podcast.
That is true, and you get to see Andy's hard work, his 3D artwork.
It's getting there. And with that, this is Matt. What's your name?
The Collector.
The
you
Collector. I don't think about it before I start saying it, and then I kind of just let...
Well, I'm the only consistent one that kept my name, so it should have
true.
been easier to,
I'm the trophy hunter. You can keep calling me that until I figure something else out.
All right, this is the Trophy Hunter,
Yeah.
the Collector, and the Value Gamer logging off.